Hey everybody, Daryl Lakins down in the Anglers All Fly Shop and Boathouse Media Room. Today it is a quilled Perdigon. It doesn't get much easier and more beautiful than a quilled Perdigon. CDL, a quill, and some dubbing. That's it, that's all. We're on the river catching fish. Come on into the studio, let's spin this up. All right, in the vise right now we've got a Super Jig Umpqua X Series in a size 16, 2.8 slotted silver bead from Fulling Mill. I'm going to wrap it all together with 30 Denier 18-aught Nano Silk in brown. Nice quick start with my thread. I'm going to do some jam wraps to get this bead locked into place. The common move will be some lead wraps behind the bead to kind of lock it into place, or maybe a little bit of UV. All very doable. It's just really up to the tire methods, right? For me, I'm a silhouette kind of dude, so the lead wraps kind of bum me out sometimes. So I'd rather oversize my bead by a skosh and control my silhouette on the body that way. And I don't want to oversize it to the point to where it's ridiculous. I guess if I had to, if I feel I needed more weight than the bead being oversized would give me, then I would go to the normal size and I would find a way to basically go ahead and do some lead wraps. So you can see as those spill back down, those will be the basis for our taper. And that head will eventually stop spinning when it gets enough thread. And there it did. All right. Go back down to the base. We're going to tie in a tail section here, which is going to be some CDL. This is a whiting tailing pack. Phenomenal little product to have on your bench. It'll serve you in many different ways, not just a tailing pack. So full disclosure, I do overtail with CDL because it's a great product. It's really fine, can be tough to see with just a few barbels. So I tend to grab a little more than normal. But at the end of the day, it's not overdressing. It's just enough to where we can actually see it within the silhouette. And what we're really looking to do here is to kind of make sure that we're matching our shank length for our tail. So a lot of times, once I kind of get where that's going to be, I can eyeball this now, but you can also just take that and grab the shank length you need to be, and that way when you place this over and do your hand shift and pinch wrap, you'll be high 90 percentile where you need to be with the most minute of adjustments to get that tail in position and at the right length. Make it just a couple more securing wraps and cut off the excess. We'll work our thread back. Don't worry about cleaning things up right now. We're going to clean up after we tie our quill in. What I've done is I've actually taken Peacock eye and I've clipped off one of the barbels up here. And again, these are a little more robust than the ones in the bottom. And all I did was take an eraser to it. And now we've got this wonderful quill that we can dress our fly with. So I like to keep the outside of the quill to me, the inside of the quill to the hook shank. I want the outside of the quill to be the facing part of that material. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and build our taper out. I'm going to stop just shy right there, right? I'm going to go back up. Each stage of this taper, I'm going to stop shy of where I was. And we'll have these stages of built up thread all the way down the fly, right? And we have these little stages, and it's, although it is tapered out now, it's a little rough. So if you do just a counterclockwise, or I'm sorry, my bad, clockwise spin, what you can do is flatten your thread, do one trip down and one trip back, and all we're really doing is smoothing out those stages that we tapered with. And as we go back up, you'll see that it really smooths out into just a wonderful taper. Go ahead and throw a whip. I'm sorry. Yeah. You can throw a whip if you want. I threw a half hitch. If you are a rotary vise aficionado, meaning that you like to use one of these and spin and wrap it, that's your cue. I'm going to show you how I do this. I like to turn my fly upside down. And although I use my rotary for dubbing loops exclusively for sure and other things, when it comes to wrapping a body, I really dig wrapping it by hand and just seeing where things are laid down a little slower. So teach this in my class. Instead of putting my bobbin over the top in a loose manner, I just do everything at the bottom. So if everything's already here, I'm just going to run them around each other and do the do-si-do. And now I can do wraps in the front and the back with tension versus putting that thread and the bobbin over the top without tension. We're going to go ahead and knock out a little bit of UV here. I'm using Bone Dry from Solarez. Try and get as much as you can off of the brush. We're not looking to build the body, we're just looking to coat the body. And that right there is all the UV you want. You don't want a ton. This is just more shine, armor, look, little durability. I'm going to go ahead and hit this from a few inches away, and I'll ease in. And you notice there was no steam or smoke. We didn't trap any air in there. We're not going to have this fly break down on us. It's going to stay durable in fishing for a very long time. UV dub. Ice brown, UV ice dub in brown. We all know that this has got a wonderful purple hue to it. So I want to keep this a pretty succinct and neat dubbing noodle here at the top. So I want to kind of keep an eye on how this is laying down. I'm going to add a little more, and I'm going to make sure that when I wrap this, I'm not on top of the dubbing loop. I want to keep all my direction going in toward the bead, and that's going to keep that building up onto the head versus rolling back onto the fly, thus keeping the length of our body visible versus getting covered up with dubbing. A few whip finishes. Go ahead and seat this down and back to make sure it is properly seated. And that right there is a rather straightforward, super quick, easy. What are we looking at? 1, 2, 3 materials if we're just looking at what we put on there, excluding the hook and the bead. Right? And that's going to fish all day. So that's it. That's the Quill Perdigon. Pretty straightforward, super simple, and a good technique fly. So if you get this down, you'll get a steady hand with your quill, and you'll make some beautiful flies. So tie them up or buy them up.